Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Cordray, for being here today. Let me first say that I am proud to associate myself and my comments along with what Congressman Al Green stated about President Obama and his appointment of you. Today, I join my colleagues in congratulating you on many of the successes. As we talk about students and those entering college, I thank you for the actions against the Corinthian College chain. Also, I think worth repeating, $11 billion recovered for some 20 million American consumers. And more recently, the actions that your office took against an Ohio bank for discriminating against African Americans with credit cards. But let me say this, I have asked every director who sat in that chair a question about Section 342 of the Dodd-Frank Act, OMWI. The Office of Minority Women and Inclusion. And I do that for several reasons. For more than 2 decades, I traveled across the United States as a diversity consultant with private corporations and with government. But also, I think it's important for people who look like me to have someone who is standing there advocating for them. And my role is to protect the institutional consumer and the individual consumer, just as your role is. So the question that I've asked everyone is to address what attention and actions that they've taken as it relates to OMWI. And I think that's very important with you because we've heard about the data, the surveys. We've all read the American Bankers Report of 2014 and 2015. And you kind of have a mark against the culture of your operation as it relates to fairness and pay for women and African Americans. And then, so I want you to answer what you've done. I noticed most recently you've appointed a director to report directly to you. Yeah. That's good news from where I sit, and I'm going to thank you in advance for that. And the second thing I want you to answer is most recently in the joint ruling where you can report your diversity either on a voluntary basis or it could be mandatory. Talk to me about the differences and if you think that people will fairly report and accurately report, and what you think about it being available to the public. Because clearly we're gathered here in this hearing because we all have a concern. Those concerns might be a little different depending on what side of the aisle you sit on. Yep. But if you could address that for me.
Sure. And I've always valued, as you know, Representative, your insight into this because you have spent years as an expert in the field dealing with lots of different workplace settings and having a sense of how they different. I remember when we worked together in financial education at the state level, you brought a perspective of how that affects different communities in a way that was very valuable for us. So for us, in terms of the issues within the Bureau itself that have been very real for me and of great concern, there's both procedure and their substance. And the procedure, you know, in terms of things like elevating our OMWI, et cetera, and showing our concern, that's one thing, and we've been doing that, and that's important. The other thing is substance. So the performance management system was the root of a lot of this, and we have thrown it out. And we're working with the union to overhaul that in a way, and the number of complaints people have diminished significantly accordingly because they're not having that problem that many of them were reacting to. In terms of pay, there have been pay equity issues at the new Bureau, partly because we were in a hurry to start up and things you couldn't always put them on a grid, and we found later that some of it maybe was not as it should have been. So we've adjusted a lot of pay equity grievances and complaints as well. I don't know that they correlated by race or gender. I don't believe they did, but we've been working to correct those wherever they lie. And in terms of the OMWI, in terms of the standards and the other agencies, we're trying to work hard with the other agencies to bring the spirit of OMWI, which Ranking Member Waters has really impressed upon me, into our agency and to the other agencies. And then also to push on, and this is where, again, you have perspective, how can we push on the financial services industry to itself become more diverse and to recognize there's a huge opportunity here with their broad consumer base, which is itself becoming more diverse. If you don't keep up with it, you're going to fall behind the times in terms of your business success. So,
I'm going to have to stop you because my
Yeah.
time is up, and I want to end with saying to you, thank you. One, we've hit you with some hard questions.
that's always fair.
But I want to say to you that I like your words that you said, I want to do better.
Yep.
And so we will help you do better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.